You might remember a time in the mid-2000s when it felt like religion was on the intellectual ropes. Atheism wasn't just quiet disbelief. It was loud, proud, and had best-selling books declaring war on faith. Its leaders were nicknamed the Four Horsemen. But here's the surprising truth. Today, that movement has essentially collapsed. Its most famous general, Richard Dawkins, author of the atheist manifesto, the God Delusion, now calls himself a cultural Christian and says he's on Team Christian. How do we get here? How did a movement that seemed so dominant just vanish from the center of the culture war? The story of new atheism's rise and fall is a masterclass in how demographics, shifting politics, and a surprising intellectual reckoning can change everything. To understand the fall, we need to revisit the peak. Around 2006 to 2007, a group of intellectuals published a series of blockbuster books that defined the movement. Richard Dawkins with the God Delusion, arguing belief was a delusion. Sam Harris with Letter to a Christian Nation, aiming to dismantle Christianity's credibility. The late Christopher Hitchens with God is Not Great, branding religion as violent and irrational. Daniel Dennett with Breaking the Spell, advocating for a purely scientific study of faith. This wasn't just about personal doubt. New atheism was openly anti-theist. Its goal was to actively remove religious influence from public life, politics, and education. Its prime target? Often the Catholic Church, due to its global reach, conservative doctrines, and absolute truth claims under Pope John Paul II. It positioned itself as the voice of reason against superstition. But a movement built on declaring war on 2,000-year-old traditions ran into unexpected problems. Analysts point to four key factors for its decline. 1. The demographic miscalculation. New atheism assumed secularism was the inevitable future. But the data told a different story. While secularism grew in some Western nations, global religious populations are booming, especially in the global South. Meanwhile, birth rates in secular communities are low. The math simply didn't lead to a religion-free world. 2. The culture war shifted. After the 2008 financial crisis, the public debate arena changed. New, heated topics like immigration, gender identity, and social justice took center stage. Suddenly, the new atheist playbook of criticizing traditional religion seemed outdated. Ironically, their core principle, question everything, started being applied to new, progressive secular ideologies, creating internal conflict. Their focus seemed to shift towards criticizing Islam and what some called wokeism, fragmenting their message. 3. The intellectual reckoning. Some within and around the movement began to realize they had underestimated their opponent. The Christian tradition, with philosophers like Aquinas who built upon Aristotle, wasn't just simple superstition. It was a sophisticated intellectual edifice that had shaped the very concepts of reason, human rights, and science in the West. As commentator Douglas Murray noted, when compared to some new ideological claims, the 2,000-year-old tradition suddenly didn't seem like the least reasonable player in the room. 4. Leadership burnout and conversion. This is the most dramatic factor. The movement's leaders aged, changed, or passed away. Christopher Hitchens died in 2011, and in a stunning reversal. Richard Dawkins now champions cultural Christianity, praising its art and ethics while still not believing in God. He stated he's on Team Christian against other ideologies. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, a former Muslim and atheist ally, publicly converted to Christianity in 2023. With no new horsemen of equal stature and its leading voices softening, the movement lost its fiery, unified front. So, is Dawkins' new stance a victory for Christianity? The answer is more complex. What he advocates for is cultural Christianity, an appreciation for the history, art, music, and moral framework of the Christian West, but without the foundational belief in God or the divinity of Christ. This creates a strange paradox. The man who dedicated his career to arguing against faith now defends the church as a useful cultural bulwark. He sees it as a defender of Western civilization against what he perceives as greater threats. This reveals that the battle lines have completely redrawn. The conflict is less about faith versus science, and more about which cultural foundation do we want. The era of new atheism as a dominant, threatening force to Christianity is over. It was undone by global trends, a shifting culture war, its own intellectual oversights, and the evolution of its founders. Its legacy is a public square that is, if anything, more religiously complex and ideologically charged. What do you think? Is the decline of new atheism a good thing for rational debate? Is cultural Christianity a meaningful stance or a hollow shell? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into one of the 21st century's biggest intellectual shifts fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content that explores the ideas shaping our world. Thanks for watching.